There was an article printed from Juno News that I just couldn't believe. Now, why can't I find the actual flipping article? Probably because I didn't pull it up here. Give me 1 second. I'm going to get this. This is Juno News, Canada immigration, 817,000 immigrants. You just won't believe it because it's unbelievable. This is after the election where, back it up a little bit. Yes, I gave Pierre Poilievre shit during the last election. And the reason I gave him shit is coming to fruition right now. How many times did he talk about immigration as being the core issue for Canada's, not just national identity, future during that election? He didn't really. He didn't really at all. And it probably should have been the biggest issue, not big bad Donald Trump and his tariffs, which we now know are wholly justified. And the fentanyl crisis coming out of Canada, real. The terrorists or people on terror watch lists crossing into the States, real. So I gave Pierre shit for that because it was the wrong tactic to adopt. It bit him in the ass regardless. You had the Liberals running on, we're going to bring down immigration just a little bit. It was 500,000 annually, but it was more. We'll bring it down to 395,000. All right, so we've got a massive problem, housing crisis, housing shortage, people living on the streets, a healthcare system that can't take care of the people that are there, let alone people who are coming in and draining the system instead of contributing to it. We'll just decrease it a little bit. No moratorium, no mass deportations. Oddly enough, the only person talking about deportation was Ruby Dalla of the Liberal Party, who got her ass kicked out of the leadership race because they didn't want to have anybody within the Liberal Party talking about actual common sense policy. And you didn't even have a Conservative Party adopt what a Liberal was saying. So set that aside. That's what they ran on. We'll lower it a little bit. Mark, the 3 passport carrying globalist whore Carney, gets elected. Liberals have an effective majority. They will control Canada for the next 4 years and run it into the deepest, darkest of sewers. This is what Juno News reported, and I had to go and double check, make sure, do my own research, ask Encryptus, who runs AI scanning software, to make sure that it's right, because I just couldn't believe it. It's true. It's accurate. Juno News reporting it. Canada took in 817,000 new immigrants in first 4 months of 2025. The latest federal immigration data shows that Canada welcomed more than 8. You're not welcoming anybody if you can't handle them. What you are doing is throwing a house party that's going to result in the house getting trashed and burnt to the ground. They welcomed more than 817,000 newcomers in the first 4 months when tallying up permanent and non-permanent streams. Cosmin Dulza. The latest federal immigration data that Canada welcomed more than 817,000 newcomers in the first 4 months when tallying up permanent and non-permanent residents between January and April. 132,000 people were granted permanent residency. That's how they're going to say, well, when we said we're going to reduce it to 395,000, yeah, that's what we're doing. Permanent residency, 132 times 3. But what is that? 264, 395. That's how they get to it, because they're goddamn liars. I'm sorry to use the Lord's name. Gosh forsaken liars. Although technically goddamn is 2 words and it's 1 word. So you're not using God. It's like Godfrey doesn't use the word God. Okay. They're damn liars. So 132,000 granted permanent residency in the first 4 months. 194,000 study permits. They said they were going to lower those, right? Because universities were exploiting them. Nope. Study permits. And by the way, they expire. Those students don't voluntarily leave. Oh, they give out 194,000 study permits. What is it, like 5% are fraudulent, don't show up to classes? Lord knows what they're doing. Oh, fine, okay, 194,000 study permits and 491,000 work permits, including extensions, were finalized by Immigration, Refugee, and Citizenship. The rest is behind a paywall. It is nation destruction, is what it is. I had to go look, double check, triple check, trust but verify. And I pulled these from the government website just to make sure. The Great Replacement Theory. And by the way, the top 5 countries, I've mentioned it: India, China, I want to say the Philippines, I want to say Nigeria, and another one. The Great Replacement Theory is a racist conspiracy theory, but gosh darn it, shut your mouths and take it. Okay, In Canada, in 2025, Canada aims to welcome 395,000 permanent residents, but that's down from 2024 by 21%. So we are solving the problem by slightly reducing, exacerbating the problem, while you still can't afford homes. They're building modular homes for homeless elderly people in Toronto. And everyone's like, well, it's a good thing. You don't want them on the street. Why are they on the street in the first place? You raging dumbasses. You know why they're on the street? Because an increasing number of elderly people can't maintain costs of housing. They can't afford the costs of living in Canada. And so they end up on the street. Oh, but then you solve the problem you caused by shipping them into what they refer to as CCANs, container mobile housing, which, by the way, what's it called? Brookfield Assets Management, Mark Carney's company, we still don't know what he owns in it, just bought modular housing company for $5 billion somewhere in Texas. Don't worry, it's down though, guys. 395,000 permanent residents, 305,000 students, I think I got the next one, and 367,000 temporary workers. It's down from the last year, people. This is what they put on the website. Don't worry, it's not happening, but it's a good thing that you're being replaced. Why? Straight from the government website. You can see the bottom there. I screen grabbed this myself so I can trust it. Should have archived the link. Maybe anyone out there should go archive it because Lord knows if they take this down. How immigrants are making a difference. Immigrants enrich our culture and communities by making a difference in our day-to-day lives. That's what you call a conclusion, people. That's not a premise. Show me where's the evidence that they enrich. Well, you have Chinatown in Montreal, right? So that's a good thing. They give you nice food, so that's enriching our culture. As if you don't already have sufficient diversity within Canada that you can get your Chinatowns. You can get good Indian food. You can get great steakhouses, great pizza. Immigrants enrich our culture and communities by making a difference in our day-to-day lives. They drive innovation across numerous industries and play an important role in the cultural and economic fabric of Canada. Find more stories from immigrants all over Canada and how they've become a part of our communities. Say it again. Say the mantra, people. This is on the government's website. You're not being replaced, but you are a bigot for noticing and enjoy the enrichment. And we're going to speak of the enrichment that we are witnessing everywhere now. They enrich your lives. It's simply not the case that when you import foreigners who are being imported en masse with no meaningful attempts to assimilate, it's simply not the case that they also import the foreign conflict. Absolutely. Someone put out a good meme. It's good, but there's an element to it here. Look at this. Make sure my messages are not open. Riddle me this, says Savage at Savage16. I don't know who he is. I do not vouch for anything of this meme. I just thought it was an interesting one. Riddle me this. How do immigrants strengthen our country, but not their own? Now, it's a funny observation because it is the question you should be asking when you import low-skill workers so that you can exploit them in your own country. I guess in that sense, it's sort of economically benefits the country that partakes in what is effectively modern day slavery. On an individual skilled immigration policy, which is what it should be, it benefits the country and it benefits the immigrant, with the priority obviously being on the country because you don't need to take immigrants. Your population is dwindling, lowering, probably because you're pushing abortion, you're pushing maids, you're pushing policy that pushes people out of the country, and the cost of living is so great that people can't have their own kids. And then you say, well, population's dwindling, so it's to our benefit to open our borders to mass migration. At a mass blanket welcoming unskilled labor so that you can exploit it, that argument holds. They're going to come here and they're going to make our country so much better. Well, why haven't they made their country better? On an individual assessment basis, which is what immigration is supposed to be, it will benefit the country to the extent you make sure that you are bringing in skilled labor, immigrants who will assimilate and promote the values of the country into which they are coming, not immigrants that are coming into a country flying the flag of the country of origin. Immigrants that are coming in flying the flag of the country into which they want to immigrate and assimilate. And assimilate in a good sense, share the values, share the culture. So it's a good meme. It applies. It is true of blanket immigration, where all that you're doing is getting the people who are going to clean your toilets, as Joel Osborne said, or as Jerry Nadler said, they're going to pick the cotton fields and they're going to pick the vegetables in the field, because if you don't have them, the vegetables are going to rot. Or if you're Jasmine Crockett, they done picking cotton, her words, not mine. That's what's going on in Canada. It's atrocious. I sincerely believe the country is beyond the point of no return. And you've elected a government that was always a globalist, penetrated by the WEF, international globalist whore and prostitute, by the way. And now you've gone and elected Mark Carney, but my goodness, he's just so charismatic when he tells you what you want to hear while doing exactly what he always wanted to do, which is going to destroy the country that you elected him to run. That's all I have to say on that.